Moving right along, I have the Buffalo Bills, and they're a team that are close to missing their Super Bowl window. It feels like they're losing Poyer and Edmunds, so I'm going out and I'm replacing those guys. First up with the 26th pick, Antonio Johnson from Texas A&M. It's a little high for him, but it's a need, and I think he's a good enough player to come in and play right away.
And they did draft Kyrie Elam, who was somebody that, not a lot of people necessarily had going that high, and they drafted
Yeah.
him pretty high. So they want to go out and replace those secondary players.
They know it's a necessity, and I think that especially because you're losing a guy like Poyer, who's a leader in the locker room, who's a big presence throughout really the NFL. Like everybody knows who Jordan Poyer is. Um, I think they have to get someone who could come in and is going to be flashing and is going to play really well. And I think Antonio Johnson is that guy. Moving right along to pick number 58. This is a guy who was at the Senior Bowl. I went with uh, Henley from Washington State, linebacker who's a freakish athlete, comes right in and can take over the Edmunds role. He's smart and he's a good athlete. That's really all you're looking for with
And
a
he can
line.
pass cover, especially
Yeah,
they like to move their linebackers around, and of course with Edmonds, who is likely gone, they're going to need somebody who
he's
can
a
go out
giant,
and
baby.
cover
He's a
guys over
giant.
the middle, and that's exactly what Henley's going to come in there and try to do.
It's yeah, it's a it's a just a good pick. Like he's just another guy who's a good football player and a great athlete, which is something we talked about last time on this. And I think he makes them better. Next up, again, this might be a little high, but I think it's worth it. I'm going with Tyler Scott at pick number 90. I think Tyler Scott is a good football player. He's
He can
fast.
fly.
He has good hands. He's for his speed, he doesn't look like a fluid route runner because he's always going 100%, but he is a good route runner if you really look at his feet and his hands closely. So I think that, it's just Gabe Davis isn't a number 2 wide receiver. He's a number 3 wide receiver. I'm just going to be honest with you. That's my personal opinion. I think they tried to force him to be a wide receiver too, and it clearly did not work. And the whole team struggled because of it. And I think getting a
Also,
guy,
yeah, and wait, you were saying getting a guy. Sorry, I totally cut you off there, but just like quickly touching on what you're looking at Gabe Davis kind of as a guy who with the Bills was largely a deep threat, and obviously that's something that Scott can do. Like we said, he can absolutely fly, but I think Scott is one of those guys that they were kind of lacking last year, which is why they took so many deep shots on third downs, is because of the fact that they didn't have a guy that you can go throw the ball to over the middle. Like we thought Isaiah McKenzie was going to be that. Really wasn't great. They brought back Cole Beasley because they were so worried about that slot position. Going out and getting somebody who can kind of just catch the ball over the middle and make something happen. It's exactly what Tyler Scott is.
and giving Josh Allen something that's easy and reliable is going to be huge because this guy, he's obviously he likes throwing the ball down the field, but he's gonna get sick of chucking the ball up on every third down. Like you need to put that team in good situations. He's gonna get tired of taking these hits. He's gonna get tired of just chucking the ball on third down. It's gonna happen. You have to try and make life easier for Josh Allen the best you can. And I think Tyler Scott does that. Another guy who does that is Jackson Kirkland out of Washington. He isn't going to be plug and play necessarily, but if you develop him correctly, he's going to be able to, be a reliable piece for Josh Allen for a very long time. And you have time to kind of bring him along. You're going to want him to play sooner rather than later, but it's not a necessity that he plays right away. This is a 4th round pick, so you're not banking on him playing right away. But I think he has traits. And I think he can very much be a good football player for a very long time if he is given, the tools that he needs. And I think the Bills are a good spot for that. And lastly, I just think they need tight end depth, man. It's Dawson Knox or nobody out there right now. And if you're going to be playing in Buffalo in the winter, you need some tight ends. You need some big bodies who are going to be able to make some things happen. And I think Will Mallory's that guy. I know me and you are a little bit higher on him than the consensus. And I think that's reflected here as him going at 137. but he's a good football player. And I know he was in a bad offense and had to catch footballs from TVD. He's just another guy, really. Like
Yeah,
he's a
and it's
need.
and it's pick your flavor for tight ends like this draft cycle. They've just got you got freakish guys, you've got guys that can block, you've got guys that can go run routes, and I think Mallory kind of fits that like older school tight end model where you can kind of just do like a little bit of everything. Nothing that you look at as extremely well, but you already have a guy who runs routes and is a great pass catcher in
Yeah.
Dawson Knox. The
You just
best
need a
thing you can
well-rounded
have as
guy.
a second, yeah, the best thing you can have as a second tight end is somebody who can be a high floor player because of the fact that he can immediately come in there and do things at an average to above average level, and that's exactly what Mallory is.